Hey, everybody. Welcome back to America's Mom. I'm your host, Sharona Bishop. So glad to have you guys with us today. I want to remind you, as always, X America News relies on you to spread the word. So take a minute and just share right now. Share it out to your main pages, share it out to your messenger. Let people know that X America News is here and we are bringing you not only current stories, not only debates, not only speculation, facts, real time events that are happening and breaking news, but we're talking culture and we're going to talk culture today. There's a lot that's been happening. I'm going to let the Epstein didn't kill himself thing lie for now. I want more information, but I will just say this. We were talking a little bit, producer Lavra and I, before we got on today, and I just feel that Dan Bongino's body language was saying a lot more than he was. Take that for what it's worth. We're going to watch that story because you know, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to move on from that today because I have too much other stuff to talk about. Okay, so let's just get right into it. I want to update you guys first on the Diddy trial, what's happening with Sean Combs, and here's why. And why didn't they ask about all of the videos that were removed by the FBI out of Diddy's home that are blackmail videos? There's a blackmail footage, you guys. Here's what's going on. I want to give you an update, and I don't want you just to think that this is a nothing story. I don't want you to just think this is, the entertainment sector. It has nothing to do with America, nothing to do with what's going on across our country. Obama was at the Diddy parties multiple times. There are multiple personal testimonies about his involvement and him being on the premises, along with many senators, congressmen, people of note from all around the world who attended these Diddy parties. So I want to fix our attention back on this. I don't want us to get distracted and just thinking that this is just a trafficking case, although that's horrendous. But I'm just saying it's about a lot more than that. The whole reason, I just want to remind you, the whole reason that everybody was watching Diddy to begin with was these were allegedly, of course, he was recording high profile guests at wild parties for blackmail purposes. He was raising connections to intelligence schemes, the CIA. We're talking about Sean Combs, P. Diddy, and his freak off parties. There's a lot of conjecture and speculation that he was already tied with the CIA and this was part of the blackmail operation that he was being charged to do. The federal government obviously has already seized tapes, many tapes with powerful figures that I think will be exposed. I think they're on those tapes, and it's going to be some really horrible things. Sean Combs is extremely vulnerable right now, and I know that the stakes are very high for him. So it's very fascinating to watch what's going on and see the testimonies that are happening and who they're bringing in. They're making it more about a domestic dispute with the previous girlfriend rather than the serious nature that it is. So, what happened over the weekend? Um, not only do we have Sean Combs being called out for his horrendous abuse of Cassie. Okay, we see all of that. But today, and actually on Friday, one of his former talents that he put out there, her name is Dawn Richards. She was part of the quote Danity Kane group, which I have no idea who that was. I saw one quick video and I was like, "Whoa, I don't know what they were thinking. You would have to be high on all this stuff in order to watch some of this stuff and think it was entertaining. But she was only with Diddy from 2009 to 2011. And as soon as she was out from under his control, she dropped this video. I thought this was really interesting and actually one of my favorite choreographed videos so far that I've seen in a very, very long time. I really liked it. We're just going to play the first 45 seconds. This is Dawn Richards, just for your memory. Maybe might jog a little bit. It helped me after I saw this. All right. So just to jog your memory there, okay? So here's the thing. She releases that video, that song called Bombs, after she's out from under Sean Combs' control in 2013. It's really, really kind of interesting. And if you go on to listen to the rest of the lyrics, even the initial quote that's in there about a righteous cause and what she's doing. She has waited all of this time to finally sue Sean Combs for what she called. I mean, she's saying that he was abusive to her, that he fondled her multiple times, groped her, and that he was extremely threatening to her. And we've heard this a lot from other. eh, We've heard this other testimonial witness. I think of Jaguar, if you're following anything she's been doing, and of course, former bodyguards of Sean Combs as well, who said he repeatedly used his authority to threaten artists into doing things he wanted them to do. So I thought it was really interesting. Well, she is the one who just testified on Friday. I want to give you just a little bit of backstory. She says that he assaulted and imprisoned her, threatened her life when she intervened to help, and when she intervened to help Cassie. And she testified in court last week for 4 days. It's just been unbelievable for her. Okay, so what I want to talk about is what she was supposed to, yeah, take this is her right here. This is one of the last pictures that she had with Combs. I just want you to familiarize yourself with her because I do think that first of all, she's telling the truth, and she is very, very believable. And she went on to have some personal success aside from Combs, which is nearly impossible. So let's talk about one of the things that they are saying happened. There's another testimonial also from one of the FBI agents who was there collecting stuff from the actual house. And I want to touch on that for just a second. This is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So we hear from one of the FBI agents. This agent's name is Binda. He testifies, or she, I'm not sure which it is, testifies to the contents that were found in the room of the first in the room literally everywhere. There's bottles of baby oil in every room. I mean, just they're everywhere. Bags of pink powder that proved to be ketamine and MDMA. I'm going to talk about what those are in just a minute. Um, these these products also, or this powder, this stuff was also found to be mixed in with the baby oil and can penetrate through the skin. So let's talk about ketamine first. I've heard about it. You've probably heard about it. If you remember Chandler Bing, I can't even think of his name, but he was on Friends. He supposedly overdosed from ketamine or ketamine, however you want to say it. And so this is exactly what it is. It's manufactured as a liquid. It can be injected into the body, inhaled through the nose, or taken through a tablet. It's a hallucinogen, and it causes a person to feel very detached from reality. It's like living in a movie or in a dream. It's used as a general anesthetic. They do use it during surgery, and if you're just getting a bone set or something like that, just kind of help you deal with the pain. In low doses, it can be helpful, apparently. It's also called Special K, Super K, Vitamin K, among many other terms. In illicit use, ketamine is swallowed or evaporated in a snortable powder. It's odorless, it's tasteless. It could be served to you. It is the official, it could be served to you in many different ways. This is what they call the date rape drug, you guys, because you won't know. They use this, it's been used often to commit essays due to its ability to sedate unsuspecting victims. MDMA is the big one. Maybe you haven't heard of it. MDMA mainly affects the brain cells that use the chemical serotonin to communicate with each other. So it's making these feel good feelings, makes you super hypersexual, and you are just tons of energy, super sensitive to touch. I mean, if you were going to talk about a party drug, MDMA would be that drug. And what they were doing was mixing both ketamine and MDMA and giving it to everybody at these parties. It's a and for whatever reason it was pink. I don't know why. But that's what they're sending out to everybody. I wanted to point this out to you though. These drugs don't sound all that bad, but MDMA specifically, this is really, really fascinating what it can end up doing to you. Some of the negative things is serious problems cognitively from consumption. And I thought it was fascinating because it doesn't take long. The symptoms of MDMA will last for 4 to 6 hours, but they will not wear off. Like the cognitive problems, remembering your brain functioning properly can take days to weeks to get better, to wear off. And with constant consumption of MDMA, you basically turn stupid. Your brain stops functioning properly. And the drug's effects also cause muscle tension, tremors, involuntary teeth clenching, muscle cramps, nausea, faintness, chills, sweating, blurred vision, severe hydration, which can result from the combination of the drug's effect and the crowded and hot conditions, because it's a party drug, right? That they are usually using and absorbing this stuff in. It also damages the serotonin system. So, one of the things we heard about Diddy constantly was that he could not be high. He always had to be taking stuff because he could not be high. And we're seeing, and maybe we're going to see what he is like without being able to have drugs. He looks horrendous. He looks like he's aged 30 years. But you do get to a point where you have no natural feel good ability in your body anymore because you've damaged your system. It's a drug that is designed to increase pleasure, but it ends up reducing your own natural ability to create pleasure. So basically, you're going to end up with a bunch of zombies. Out of the people who've been partying with you or using these drugs, you're going to see a whole bunch of zombies. I want to remind everybody that Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to 1 count of racketing and conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. That's it. That's all so far that he's been charged with. At the end of Don Richards' testimony, I did think this was really interesting. I can't remember if we have a graphic for this or not. I thought it was really interesting. I don't think we do. I want to point this out. They had the FBI agent testify. She or he talks about everything that they have found in the room, and along with tons of cash, by the way. So you've got ketamine, MDMA, baby oil. It's just a disastrous scene. And then you have Dawn Richards when she completes. Oh, thank you so much. I didn't know if I had that or not. This is Agent Binda talking here. So once that wrapped up and Dawn Richards gets up to testify, okay? When she wraps up her testimony, this is so interesting. She repeatedly was present when Cassie was being abused, and she said it happened all the time. And it made her afraid and it made Cassie afraid. And they had both basically agreed together after one particular situation where Sean Combs was cooking eggs and he became enraged that Cassie had not gotten him his eggs fast enough. So he picked up a black pan that he was using and was going to hit her over the head with it. Instead, Cassie falls to the ground. Cassie Ventura, she falls to the ground. She goes into the fetal position, you guys, and he starts kicking her in the head, in the body, all over. And Dawn Richards is just like not sure what to do, leaves the room. Eventually the next day checks on Cassie or whenever they end up talking again. She said the next day, without speaking, she just knew we're not telling anybody and nothing's going to happen here. And she's asked by the prosecution, how did you know that you shouldn't talk anymore, that it was going to be worse if you talked? And Dawn Richards says the only word she gets out is death. And the defense immediately rushes to convene for a sidebar with the judge, and the day is over. That is how Friday ended, was with Dawn Richards implying that people who talk about this stuff end up dead. I mean, death is the word that she put out there. So we're going to see what else goes on. The trial, of course, is not being televised because you can't have cameras in a federal court. So just know that's why we're giving these updates. I think it's extremely important. And that question should have been asked of Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. What are you finding on the Diddy tapes? What is happening with the investigation into those tapes that were pulled by the FBI, thousands and thousands of videos of people doing unspeakable things. All right, so there's our Diddy update for the day, and I'm going to keep at it again because it's extremely important that we be paying attention to this. I'm going to jump to Romania now. Very, very shattering results of the Romanian election. As you all know, we've been talking about Romania and covering what's been going on there for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. And George Simeon was the predicted winner for the election in Romania. All of the mainstream media is saying shocking victory for Danz, who is the homosexual mayor of Bucharest, who was running against George Simeon. And I can just tell you, Romania is an extremely Orthodox country, extremely Christian country, extremely in opposition to homosexuality, to the LGBTQ movement, to woke ideology. As a culture, they reject that massively. So, yes, it was shocking. And all the media is saying it's shocking that Danz won. I want to share with you the video from George Simeon, his concession speech, and then we're going to get into a little conspiracy of my own.
Hello, dear friends. We have finished in counting all the ballots. We lost the second round of the elections here. I had over 5 million votes. My counter candidate won with an extra 1 million votes. We cannot accuse significant tampering with the ballots. Will continue to represent the sovereignist, patriotic, conservative movement in Romania, and we will continue to fight together with all the sovereignists, patriots and conservatives around the world for freedom, for God, for family, and for our common ideals. It was an honor for me to represent our movement in this battle. We lost this battle, but we didn't and will never lose our war. Thank you for being on our side. Thank you for being with Romania. We hope to return to democracy. We hope to return to common sense here and across Europe and the free world.
God bless George Simeon. He is a fighter. He spent his whole adult life fighting for the freedom of Romania and Moldova. So we'll be following that story more. But here's what was so interesting that broke yesterday during the election. This was Telegram founder Pavel Durov revealed that France was interfering in Romania's election. Oh my God, shock and awe. Who is not surprised here? I am not surprised. I have exposed this. I have put this on X many times about Macron having to protect his investments, his investors who put him in his position because they own Romania. Okay, they own every industry. Every major industry in Romania is owned by France. Okay, so here they go. They sent over this guy. This guy's name is what is his name? I have it right here in front of my face. Oh yeah, Nicholas Lerner. Okay, this is where it gets very interesting. So Pavel Durov, founder of Telegram, comes out. He says, "I was told by this guy, Nicholas Lerner, that I was to silence conservatives in Romania specifically." Okay, so they're targeting through social media, trying to silence everybody. I don't know that Romania has a First Amendment, but this is really fascinating to try to reach out to big tech to get them to do this. It should be noted that Pavel Durov is in France right now. He is having to stay in France. That was part of the deal that he made in order to not be sent to prison because they accused him of allowing all kinds of salacious images, child images on Telegram. Okay, and that he had not done what he should to protect children on Telegram, although he had already been doing that when he was prosecuted. Okay, part of the conditions of him staying free is to be in France. So this story is really interesting that he was willing to come out publicly and name Nicholas Lerner. And let me explain why. Nicholas Lerner serves as the Council of Ministers, okay, to Macron. He works directly for Macron. If you followed the Candace Owens story on Macron and Brigitte, okay, on Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte and the whole story there, Brigitte's a dude, in case anybody's wondering, total dude. There was a really interesting part in Emmanuel Macron's background where he is, if you're following the idea, which I believe is true, that he's a Manchurian candidate. From very, very young, he was selected and appointed to eventually be the leader of France. Okay. During that time, he goes to a specific school. It's the Senghor class. It's the Senghor school. This is a very, very prominent place where people go who are going to be working in public service in some capacity. Okay. Everybody knows if you're going to the Senghor school, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be working in public service, you could be president one day. Okay. Everybody knows that. Very fascinating part of Candace Owens' coverage of this was when Macron was at the school, he was so dumb. He was so dumb, he didn't know anything. He didn't have to work for anything. He was being appointed. He was being moved along through all of his education. Finally, he comes to this class. This class is the 99 to 2002 class. That was the one time that I'm not kidding you, you're not going to believe this. They canceled publishing the exit scores for just that one class. That's it, just that one class. And the speculation was because Emmanuel Macron was not going to pass. He wouldn't have passed. He did not know anything about the courses. He didn't know anything about what he was doing there. He had already been hand selected. And this kind of crazy outrage leftist circus unravels in that school. And they actually have 76 students who decide they're all leftist lunatics surrounding Emmanuel Macron. And they decide to go to bat and go to war with the administration to not post their actual results of their tests. it becomes a huge riot. Now, if you go on Wikipedia, they tell you the leftist perspective. There were many students who were pushing against this, saying, I worked my rear end off. I want to see my exit score. They ended up privately giving people their scores, but it really didn't mean anything. It was inconsequential if you can't demonstrate where they ranked in the class in this school in order to go on for whatever prestigious position or career they wanted to foster. What's fascinating is Nicholas Lerner was in Macron's graduating class. They have been working together for a very long time. He was one of the leftist loonies who was pushing with Macron to not show exit test results. Very, very interesting. So Nicholas Lerner has been in the Macron camp for a very long time, supporting what Macron is doing, being a part of this whole globalist agenda, which he clearly is, feeling that he can actually impede on a sovereign nation state and dictate their election outcomes as well as their economic outcomes. And I do not miss this point for a moment. Macron doesn't give two cares. He wants to play with his boy toys and have the things that he does there, which there's plenty of documentation on that. Okay. I'm not making stuff up. The guy is a weirdo. Okay. He would way rather be doing that. But the people who put him in power are demanding that he be involved in these elections and these outcomes and secure their investments in Romania. I'm going to stand by that. I've seen enough. I've read enough. I've seen all the connections of these people and what they're doing and how they operate and how they work, in addition to our own U.S. ambassador to Romania. And it deserves an investigation. It deserves America to stay involved, to keep looking at what's going on here, especially if our own ambassador is looking the other way or helping to facilitate and foster the takeover of Romania in any form or capacity, because that certainly is not the role of a U.S. ambassador. There'll be more on that, but I wanted to just share this brief part with you guys. I sat down, of course, with many of the MPs in Romania just a few months ago when we were there to you know discuss what was going to happen, what potentially could happen, what will happen to you to Romania if George Simeon does not win this election. One of the most compelling interviews was with Cosmin Corandia, who is an attorney. He's been fighting for liberty in Romania all of his life and is an MP that serves there in the Romanian government. I want to replay this interview today as we speculate and wonder. There are people there who understand exactly what was on the table, exactly what there is to lose, not only for Romania, but for the entire European region. Please enjoy this interview with Cosmin Corandia of Romania. Welcome back, everyone, to America's Mom here on X America News. We have been here in Cluj, Romania, talking about very important subjects that are affecting not only this country, but the entire area, the entire European Union. And I sense it's going to affect America eventually. It is not a big shock to me when you see NATO and the UN, or excuse me, and the EU seemingly to partner, and again, this collusion to go against Russia. Are we friends with Russia? I don't know. You know what? At this point, if you say anything, you're going to be considered a Putinite anyway. So I don't even know what to say about that. What I can say is in this country, they don't want war. They don't want to go to war. Ukrainians don't want war. They want to end the war. This region is ready for peace. They want to get back to moving in the right direction and creating productivity for their people. They want to love their own countries. They want to end the wokeism and the multiculturalism that is continuing to just drain them of resources and potential in their own country. I've had Cosmin Corandia with me before, and he has talked about exactly what's happening in this country, why it's so imperative that we pay attention. I want to share with you just a little bit about him. He is, of course, a member of the parliament and a member of AUR. He is a renowned expert in both international law and human rights. His expertise focuses on migration, on human rights laws, as well as climate governance. And you, of course, are an expert in everything happening right here in Romania, why it matters so much. And I'm amazed that the dots don't seem to be connected abroad, and I'm disappointed in that. But tell me a little bit about how you see the situation right now. We're preparing for another election when the previous one was thrown out. You've spoken about that at length. And by the way, I would add, you can find the interview that we did with Cosmin on americasmom.net and also here on X. So please look for that previous interview. But pick us up, bring us up to date where we're at now.
Well, we are still in this unprecedented situation created by the Constitutional Court decision last December. And we are facing a new round of elections Theoretically, these elections will be illegal, mainly because it's the continuation of a process which has been cancelled in the first place.
And illegal.
Yeah, alone, yes. And then we are finding now ourselves in a new election cycle where I am not sure if the results will be recognized by both the Constitutional Court in Romania, but also by our partners, our friends. Mainly because it was created this very dangerous precedent where the Constitutional Court can decide if they like or not the outcome of the elections. So they have the power to cancel it again based on this precedent, or our international partners and friends who might not recognize the outcome of the elections because of exactly what happened last December. So we don't understand, and I think we are in this position right now where we don't understand the danger of that precedent from the decision of the Constitutional Court in December. We try to move from that behind the word of stability. It's an obsession with the word of stability of the Romanian politicians. The interim president is telling us about the stability. The court's judge came out publicly in an interview and he talked about the democratic tools to create stability. Everything seems to go towards stability. However, I am not sure if we are stabilized whatsoever, mainly because this dangerous precedent I was talking about, it's putting us in a very unknown situation. And we don't know how to deal with that. Yes, we know how to deal with presidential elections because we had that in the past, but I'm not sure how to deal with presidential elections which may be changed, and not by the voters, not by the people, by some institutions.
Sergio Velasco, who is out of Spain, he's a journalist out of Spain, was talking about how there have been documented statements by EU members stating that they now have this new tool in their box to control nation states. They've done it to Germany, they've done it to Poland, and now they've done it to you, Romania. And they're not even hiding it. They're not trying to pretend that they're not trying to cause a provocation, I would say, by the people, but also a placement of the person they want in that position. Do you see that that's going to be the inevitable outcome of this, or do you think there is hope that the people's voice somehow can break through even what the EU wants for their future?
I hope not. I hope the vote will still count at the end of the day, and people will elect whoever they believe it should be their president. Obviously, from my point of view, the next president, without any doubt, should be President George Simion. But besides that, I'm not sure that the European partners will have been able to do that without our consent. That's the problem. That's the main. So the problem comes from within out, as the healing as well, from within out. We don't need anyone coming from outside, being Russians, EU, or even the US, coming and telling us what to do when we know that we have to heal ourselves from inside out. So this being said, well, I hope the vote of the people will still count, because apparently the freedom of speech is kind of in a limbo now in Romania. We have journalists who are being banned. We have penalties after penalties for some televisions which do not agree necessarily with the system. And we had a crime. We had an investigation over the former runner, Mr. Georgescu. So these things are just adding more to the suspicion, which slowly becomes true, right? That everything is trying to be controlled. And I'm not sure that the vote of the people should be controlled.
Would you walk us back through, you said there's basically 4 steps that have taken Romania from somewhat stability to this instability of not even knowing if their next election will count?
Yeah, it's a very simplistic equation. However, I think that it shows clearly what happened here from the legal perspective. So we have the first step happening, what happened on the 5th of October. It was the cancellation of a candidate, of a runner. You cannot cancel according to Romanian law, you cannot forbid anyone to run for an election without a decision or a final decision of a court. That lady in particular did not have that decision. So from my point of view, it was a legal abuse, a legal interpretation, subjective interpretation of law. And subjectivity should not be close to the word law, because this is what the law is about. It's about objectivity. Yeah, you cannot have subjectivity.
It just is what it is.
Right. The second step was taken on 6th of December, when you know very well that the round 2 was actually stopped during voting, the voting process.
Right.
And it was people were voting in Western Europe. Romanians were voting, and they stopped completely, and they interrupt and cancel.
Once it was realized that Georgescu was going to win and not the establishment candidate, the powers that be stopped the election and said, just joking, we're not really having an election.
Yeah, so they canceled it during the process. They didn't even wait for the outcome to come, because they were, I believe they were afraid that the outcome obviously will be in favor of Mr. Georgescu, so this will add more heat, if you want, on top of the cancellation.
So
and
who made the call?
Well, institutional-wise, it was the Constitutional Court. They made the call. They took the decision, a motivation, which came out on that late afternoon on Friday, December 6th, when they said that based on some information that there is some kind of foreign intervention in the electoral process of Romania, we are canceling the entire process. After that was happening on Friday, after Monday, so 4 days before, they validated the first round. So they validate the first round.
Everything's good, process
Everything is
great, we're happy.
We recognize the elections. On Monday, we recognize the elections. On Wednesday, we have a defense meeting showing that there is some kind of interference, or foreign interference in the Romanian affairs.
Is this the TikTok situation?
And that is the TikTok and the Russian injury.
I'm sorry. I should have known Russia was going to be there.
Obviously, Russians are everywhere. I'm pretty sure they are present here. I mean, everywhere.
If this whole interview goes a mess, just know it was the Russians. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. So that was happening on Wednesday, and then on Friday we had the second round starting, especially in the Western Europe, in the foreign countries where you have 3 days of elections, and the process started. In the morning, we had the first polls coming out. Mr. Georgescu was way in front of the other runner. And in the afternoon, the Constitutional Court comes out and says that based on the new evidence, that this injury, this intervention, this foreign presence in our electoral process, we need to cancel the entire electoral process. So we canceled what we recognized 4 days ago. We canceled the votes of the people, not only the 9.5 million votes which were expressed in the first round, but we are also canceling the votes which are present today. So in the middle of the process, this is unbelievable. This is unprecedented. It never happened before. It was in other 2 countries, I won't tell them their names, on another continent, which happened to that, but they are very far away from democracy, or what we believe to be democracy.
I appreciate you saying that, because this is very much third world stunts.
Yeah, you said it closer to the truth, but yes, and this was the second step, and that was massive. That was because it created this again. I have to underline. I have to push for the president, and based on the president, you have the Commission of Venice, a very respectful juridical body in Europe, composed by real judges. Yeah, real judges. We have kind of semi-judges in the Constitutional Court because they are appointed politically, and some of them, they were not even judges before, but they had some legal experience, of course. That is a requirement. And the Commission of Venice comes and says, what you did in December is not right. It was illegal, practically. And one of the reasons why it was illegal was because the candidate could not appeal, because after the Constitutional Court is like the Supreme Court in the US. You cannot appeal. There is no body to go to. Not even regional, because we tried. We go to OCE, we go to the Venice Commission, we go to Council of Europe, we went to the European Court on Human Rights. all of us as a supporting party behind Mr. Georgescu, we tried all the international venues available for us, but none of them was actually the right one, because there is no right one after a constitutional court decision. It's final. This is it. And it says that he did not have a court to appeal. So that was illegal, because you cannot cancel the entire process. You cannot ban a person without the right to appeal. Right? That person has the right to appeal. I mean, okay, maybe in the first court you ban me, but maybe in the second court, the higher court, maybe they turn over the decision and I can actually run, because maybe you're subjective, coming back to subjectivity, and these guys will be objective. Well, and the third step was Mr. Georgescu being banned from running by the Electoral Bureau. Electoral Bureau, it's an institution in Romania which has not the legal capacity to take these decisions. But the motivation the Electoral Bureau gave was based on the former two decisions of the Constitutional Court, the two ones I told you from last year. So the motivation was full of Constitutional Court's decisions, wording. So they banned him. And obviously he has an appeal option, and that appeal option will be the Constitutional Court itself. And the Constitutional Court comes and says, well, we validate the banning because there is our motivation in their motivation, so we cannot cancel our own motivation even if it comes from anyone else, because this is probably we're going to recognize that what we did was legal. And this is it. This is the end of it.
That's incredible.
And based on that, again, the same lady who was banned last October, she was banned again now to run. She tried to run. Although in the world, and this is a general principle of law, worldwide applicable, you cannot be charged for the same crime twice.
Double jeopardy.
Double jeopardy. So she already committed a crime, I'm using quotation marks for everyone, by being or saying something which was not constitutional. Then that was the reason why she was banned last October. She did not say anything else since October, so she didn't manifest any kind of behavior against that decision. So now they ban her again because they believe it's a threat to our Constitution.
Incredible.
So
I just, you think about this in American terms. Number one, it would be President Trump winning and then them revoking his victory, which to me, there would be madness in the streets. And to just really give props to the Romanian people, they have come out in the hundreds of thousands to protest what's happening here. And then this time is Trump attempting to run again, and then just telling him, I have a moral decision to make here, and my morality will not allow you to run. That is not judicial. That's not law. The law is plain. It says what it says. Our morality no longer needs to be added to it because the law is correct.
Right.
That's all.
Because if you have been associated, or if you have had a final decision court, for example, with what happened to the Capitol, that's okay. This is it. You are charged officially. The court decided that, so your right to be elected will be suspended for a period of time while you are actually consuming your punishment, right? This is worldwide again applicable. It's not only the US or Europe. So it's not this case at all. I mean, there was no legal final court decision against these people. So that's why it's mind-blowing from the legal perspective. And me as a lawyer, I cannot actually look at it. I mean, I don't find anything lawyering in it. I cannot find anything legal in it if you want to. And there is this, and the presidents, what they are doing is, and this is the last juridical thing I'm telling you about because I don't want to be boring.
It's shocking is what it is.
It's the principle of predictability. The principle of predictability is a principle which is very present in law. If I steal an apple, I can predict what will happen. Yes? If I got caught.
Yes.
If I commit a crime, I can predict everyone, not only me, not only the doer, everyone else, including the court and the family and everyone else, can predict what can happen to you. Because this is the principle associated with the law. The law must be predictable.
Yeah.
This is why we are creating law. This is why we are creating these social contracts called law, because we are creating a contract between the state and the individual, where the individual has a set of rights and obligations. And if you go over one of them, then you know what will happen. The same for the state. There is no principle of predictability anymore present in Romania, because as I told you, in the elections in the month of May, they can cancel again if the outcome is not the one they desire.
One other extension of that too, they not only canceled the election, but now they have criminalized Georgescu. And that is a whole nother thing, because you imagine running for office and having the fear that you're going to be criminalized at the end of that because they don't like your politics. That is outrageous to me to think, and how many people will be inhibited from being a part of the process. You guys are already dealing with the confiscation of your phones, your
computers, right. It
all
started
of this
last
prior
June.
To the election.
Yeah, they already tested us last June, 3 days before the elections. Colleagues of mine and friends of mine were stopped on the street and brought in from questioning, and their laptops and their phones were taken away by the prosecutors. The laptops and the phones which are still in their possession today, they never got them back. But I don't know what, nobody knows actually in this world what happens with the investigation. I'm a lawyer. I cannot understand these things. I cannot comprehend. It's beyond my capacity, my legal capacity to understand. And I'm astonished, and I'm looking at this, this situation in Romania. I cannot believe it's happening to my country. I mean, that's why we going lower and lower in all the rankings in the world. We were 62 closer to democracy. Now we are 72 in a hybrid situation. The company of the countries, you can't even imagine in what company of what countries we are in. Romania, as a member of EU and NATO, is the lowest ranked among all the other countries in closer to democracy. We are in a hybrid system of democracy today.
And the hybrid would be what? A combination of communism?
A hybrid, no, next to junk. That's the next step, next to junk. And we are, again, I'm emphasizing this because it's important. We are member of European Union. We are member of NATO. We believe ourselves to be a democratic state. Well, why did we reach the 72nd place in the rankings in a hybrid situation? Especially because of what happened in December, which was a hit against democracy in Romania.
Why does this matter for America? And what is the relationship between Romania and America now?
My grandfather fought in World War II, and he was at the beginning. Romania was with the Atlantida, which was the German side, and then at some point in time we switched, but it was a little bit too late for us to be considered winners of the war, so we lost territories and a lot of privileges. But we switched and we fought with the Allies. That would be United States, UK, France, and Soviet Union at that time, all trying to push back Hitler's Germany. And my grandfather was saying that every day he was waking up as a soldier and says, Americans are coming. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Americans are coming. And the Americans did come, but they bombed 2 cities in Romania because it was part of the war. And but the Americans came as saviors. And I'm talking about 1945. And where the America was the savior of a small country in Europe, which by taking some stupid political decisions under a king, we didn't make sure what side we should be from the beginning. And that was sanctioned by all the other countries. So I grew up with my grandfather sayings, the Americans should have come, the Americans came, the Americans saved us. We waited for the Americans all these years. So I grew up in a communist time believing that the Americans will come and will save us from communism. And as a child, that was pretty intense, mainly because we didn't have access to the information. So the access to the information that we had, it was very limited. Very few movies, very few, Dallas maybe, the sitcom, if you remember. Yeah. And that was the American perspective for us. And we always believed that America should be, we are good friends and we should be good friends. Well, you are the bigger brother and we are the younger and democratic brother. Now we are the youngest, probably democratic brother, and we are here to support each other. So after the revolution from '89, when we created this strategic partnership, when we started to visit the United States, even the program which was cancelled a few days ago, and the visa waiver program, we were supposed to enter the 31st of March. In the visa waiver, it was a diplomatic win for us. It was coming closer to the bigger brother. So a recognition from the bigger brother by having troops here, by having a military presence, by accepting us in NATO, by pushing for our democracy to flourish. Yeah. Because this is what big brothers do. And it's not, everything is suspended. It's in the air now. Everything is not happening anymore. The big brother, on a good reasoning, I would say, because of what happened in December, decided to stop the communication with us. And here we had some communication, some ridiculous situations where our foreign ministry was trying to chase some Trump administration people in Munich during the security conference, and he said that he had very good conversations with those people, and those people were coming out and said, we don't know this guy. So we had all these awkward, very stupid situations where our foreign policy disappeared. As a member of the parliament, I'm a vice president of the Foreign Policy Committee, and we gave the green light for this minister to be nominated, to be validated. And I had only one question for him. And I said, and this is recorded, this is public records, can you assure us that your personal and the entire ministry personal relationship with United States is okay? That was a question I asked at the beginning of December. And he said, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Well, it is a problem. It is a problem because our communication with the United States, it's very affected by what happened in December. I don't want to say closed. I want just to say that it's affected. It's a problem because this partnership, this strategic partnership itself, it's in danger as we speak now, because as Vice President Vance said, J.D. Vance said, we don't share common values anymore. And one of the common values we don't share is the understanding of what democracy means. And we were never, and we are still not in the position to define democracy as a country. We have maybe an understanding of what democracy is, but we cannot define it because we didn't invent it. Yeah, we took it when it was already developed. And we took it, tried to implement it, and we implemented maybe in our Balkan way to implement it, which is still fine, as long as it functions, as long as it works. But it doesn't, because once you put aside to the right to vote, right to be elected, freedom of speech, well, what's next? What's next? There is nothing next besides that. I mean, your amendments were crushed by the Romanian democracy from the Second Amendment, the Fifth, each and every one of them. Because there is no way you can actually manifest your understanding of democracy the way we just did. And it was unexpected. I must say, it was unexpected for the US. It was unexpected for the Romanian people, for us, for all of us. And it still is. We still can't believe this is happening. This is really happening.
It definitely seems surreal.
And the US started to send very strong signals that, guys, you are not on the right path. The vice president said that twice, mentioned Romania. Elon Musk is retweeting, re-xing now a lot of, he's xing, re-x, you can, okay, a lot of decisions which are being taken in Romania, and he is stupefied as well, because all of us are astonished as what's happening. And now we closed the visa waiver. We suspended the process for accessing the visa waiver, which is now, it should, as I told you, should have started at the end of this month. So
what impact does that have on your country, not having the visa waiver available anymore?
It's a step back. It's a step back in that recognition of that big brother I was talking about, yes, of our relationship. You don't recognize me as a democracy enough to have me in the visa waiver. You believe that the Romanian people is still a threat to the US as a immigration kind of possibility, because you are not living in a democracy. And people can actually flee from Romania to the US because of the lack of a misunderstanding, if you want, of this democracy. So obviously you have to, I mean, the signals are very strong. My question, which is rhetorical, I don't want to get into that, what's next? What's next for Romania? What if in May the outcome will not please the European Union, the Brussels, or the Paris recently? Because I saw that Paris is coming very strong in the support of this.
Yes, Macron can't stay home for whatever reason.
He has 6 months left. It's all the president towards the end of the term, they become slowly irrelevant on the political. We saw that in our former president. We saw that in all the presidents around the world. When you see that towards the end of the term, if you have the legacy created by that time, it's fine, but you don't create a legacy in the last 6 months, because you'll be remembered for that.
Yeah, in Macron's case, he'd probably rather be remembered for this than the other legacy that's been being created surrounding
There is no legacy whatsoever, but...
Yeah. Well, ask Brigitte Macron.
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah.
Moving forward, what do you hope for with America, or do you just kind of have an understanding that Romania's got to figure this out themselves?
We have, as I told you, we have to heal from inside out. We have to prove that we are a democratic state. Our understanding of democracy is similar or very close to being similar with the America's understanding of what a democracy means. The outcome of the election should not be infringed, should not be affected by any other foreign or national interests. The Romanians should be left alone to vote for themselves, what they believe is right, and the election process should not be affected by any institutions whatsoever, regardless, Romanian, European, no institutions involved in the process of elections. Leave the people vote, and whatever the vote comes, that will be the vote we have to deal with.
Has there been any talk about resolutions from the parliament to that effect?
We are in opposition. All our resolutions or our amendments to any kind of law have very little chance to pass, because they are not listening. They are not listening. It was a very recent example which happened to me personally. I was working on the Pact for Migration maybe 15 years ago. Pact for Migration, European Pact for Migration, was a good thing at the beginning. It was very positive in trying to, accommodate people, not leave anyone behind, but on the same time, still taking care of our economy, the impact of migrants on our medical services, educational services, education system, labor market, everything. So still taking care of that, but still accommodating the people in need. So that was the aim at the beginning for the Pact of Migration. The Pact of Migration for Migration today in Europe, which Romania signed, obviously, because it's a very good listening soldier, without thinking mostly, is sending codes of migrants to Romania, and if Romania decides not to accept that code, that number of migrants, they will be penalized financially. So we have to pay for every rejection. The problem with the migrants is that they are not coming from outside Europe. They are coming from Western Europe. So Germany or France, it's selecting among the migrants of skill, they receive and welcome and start integrating the migrants they need, and everyone else, and you can imagine by yourself who everyone else
saw
is,
some of that.
is going towards Romania. And we have to accept them, because if we don't accept them, we must pay a very high penalty for each individual, which we reject.
So I had not heard this yet, because I did wonder, what is the punishment? I've asked that. What is going to be the punishment if you just said no, and that's your punishment? It's financial hardship.
Right. And I was sitting in the parliament, and they have this bad habit, to pass laws very well and change the order of the laws who were being discussed in the parliament. So I was sitting in my bench, and suddenly someone is talking about the coming from EU, talking about the Pact for Migration, and they had a very beautiful report showing how this Pact for Migration is actually helping Romania, and we are stupid because we don't understand. So I raised up. I pushed the button to talk. I went in front of the parliament. This is again public records. It's on my social media as well. And I went there, and I thought, what are you doing? You don't even know what you are voting for. You don't even realize the impact of this international document we signed we're gonna have on our Romanians. We already have 6 million Romanians living abroad. 6 million. It's a huge number. Yeah, and what are you trying to do? We don't say migration is bad for fulfilling the gap, if you want, but we prefer to get back our Romanians instead of having that. Okay, that's one effort. It's difficult, but it's possible. And on the other hand, meanwhile, we have to replace, because the labor market has its own needs. But we don't have to replace it with people who are being rejected already by other societies. Why these people were bad for them and will be good for us? Because probably the migrants who are coming are unskilled, crime-related migrants, dangerous for the society whatsoever. Yeah. So why are we voting to welcome that when we don't need that? We should have other priorities. We should prioritize getting the Romanians back first. And while we are doing that, and should become a national policy, a national priority to get our Romanians back, because it's not going to work. This flux of migration from inside Romania to Western Europe will continue, because economic means they are not so present. Now democracy is questionable. Right. So what's next? I heard a lot of people who said after December that they want to leave because they cannot believe in what country they are living in. So this flux will continue. So instead of stopping that and then try to get back our migrants, our own nationals, our own citizens, Romanians, and offer them economic opportunities, offer them to the young people not to leave, and the ones who are there to come back, positions where they can be disciple, and because they have a foreign experience and everything else. Instead of doing that, we are just welcoming migrants from Western Europe because France and Germany, and I will just stick with these two countries, just say so. And we have to sign. And we did.
What is the warning for other countries who are watching this happen to you? And I'm not sure what's going to happen next. Obviously, we have to wait for the elections, but there's certainly a warning here. When things are happening, it's like a slow boil, a frog in a slowly boiling pan. You don't feel it. You don't really know exactly what's happening. But I think that you were probably one of the few who could see the writing on the wall.
I believe that EU is not what it was meant to be. EU is not representing Europe anymore. Europe is doing badly, economically speaking, is doing badly socially speaking, culturally, religion-wise, everything is going bad in Europe now. Romanians, some of them came back home, not because the Western society is so awesome that they wanted to stay, no, because it's starting to be bad there. Yeah? So that's probably the direction EU is going, this federalization of states, this, supreme decisions coming from one city called Brussels instead of having national decisions taken by themselves. And this is probably the future they want for EU. Mm-hmm. And I believe that what happened to Romania, it could happen to Poland now in May because they have elections. It could happen to Portugal when they will have their own elections. It will happen to Bulgaria as well because Bulgaria is closer to the same situation. It is happening everywhere. They are dictating who the president or who their interests should be represented by in other countries. And this should stop because it's madness. It's not what we sign up for. When we sign up for Europe, we've signed up for, I don't know, flourishing economic opportunities, open borders, freedom of speech, right to vote, right to be elected, everything. It was like a guarantee for us, like the European Convention on Human Rights. It was like a guarantee for us that everything which is written there, it will happen to us finally after 45 years of communism. And guess what? It's not happening. And another point, it might be funny, but it's legally, trust me, it's very, be afraid of the word stability. When you hear a politician say the word stability, well, it's something else completely opposite happening behind that word, because it's becoming an obsession of that, of stability.
In America, we're always aware of for the children, so here it's for stability. You know, when a contract is no longer beneficial mutually, it's time to either annul the contract or change it radically.
Right.
And I hope you guys can find your way forward there.
I hope so
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and this incredible, thorough explanation of what's going on here.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being with us here in Cluj, Romania. We will be back right after this.